Good morning, my friends. I'm really excited that today I get to record an episode, even though I've been a little under the weather. I haven't been experiencing too many symptoms, but for sure my voice is a little rough. My husband says I should be on a 1-900 call if you're old enough to remember what those are. So yeah, it's a little squeaky, but I'm feeling really good and I'm not really experiencing anything else. And I absolutely wanted to still come on here and bring you guys this message today because I do feel like it's super needed for this time of the year. You know, so many of us have family dynamics or even friend dynamics that maybe just don't feel that great sometimes. You know, if somebody is a little off kilter or if there's some grudges or maybe some past things going on, it's just so super obvious during the holidays. And I know most people, they just want to have a really good season. Everybody gets off of work. You know, a lot of us celebrate the birth of Christ. Some of us are just celebrating family time, and that's fine too. But man, if there are any of those weird family vibes going on, people tend to notice, okay? They may not bring it to the attention, but we all feel it. Let's be honest. At least half of us are feeling the vibes, and they're not always great. And sometimes it's, you know, offhand remarks, or like passive aggressiveness, right? That's always fun to deal with. I think we can all relate. So yeah, if you have somebody in your life, a family member, maybe it's a narcissistic parent, maybe it's, you know, your sibling's spouse that you just like, I can't take it. This is going to be for you today. Okay. I want everyone to have as best holiday season as they possibly can. And sometimes, even though we can't change all the people around us, sometimes changing some of the perspective and some of the triggers in our own subconscious mind allows us to still enjoy ourselves regardless of whatever's going on the outside world. So let's go ahead and get started today. I'm so glad you guys are here. I know you're going to love this. All right, here we go. Hey friend, welcome to Deep Healing for Creative Entrepreneurs. My name is Aubrey Barr, and I am a subconscious release technique practitioner and photography business owner. I know you are sick of ending your day feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, and you are seeking a solution to help you feel creatively inspired and actively engaged in your business as well as personal life. In this podcast, we are going to dig into any limiting beliefs or subconscious programs that are keeping you in a space filled with anxiety and stress. This work is not a temporary solution for your life. No, this is a complete transformation. So grab your coffee or tea and let's start you on the road to healing. And let me just say, you can do this. You are worth it. And you are meant to thrive in life and business. So let's dig in. All right, so here we go. 3 tips to get us through this holiday weekend that's coming up and maybe even into the new year if we have more family events or whatever it may be. We've got to just get through. Now, I will say that you will always, and you have always heard me preach about doing the actual work, right? I'm not here for Band-Aids. I make that very clear. I love the subconscious work that I get to do with people. I see it change lives. I see it transform somebody into being a triggered and overwhelmed and anxiety-ridden person into a more calm, collected, rational person. So I know it works, but we have a couple days and we've, again, got to make it through. Okay. So these are meant now, in this case, to be little life floats for you, little ways for you to make it through and to feel good. Okay. So that's what we're hanging on to today. So number 1, this is huge. It's probably the best thing you can do. Okay. Before you go to this event, before you go see your family, before you go see whomever, let's please take a minute to ground ourselves, okay? Before you go, you need to get your stuff together. So that's going to look like maybe some meditation, maybe some thoughtful prayer. Maybe it's going to involve doing a journal about all the things you really love about the holidays and not so much about the things you don't want to happen, right? Also, what I love to do for this, if I am feeling like I cannot shift away from, oh my gosh, this is going to be a train wreck, I love to play the what if game. Okay. So this is where I calm myself down, I take a few breaths, beautiful, beautiful breaths, and I say to myself, okay, what if I go and everything turns out amazing? What if I go and my mom doesn't make that snarky comment, or my sister doesn't ignore me all night? Like, what if I actually go and everything feels just fine? Now, we never want to go there. We never want to do that willingly, because our fight and flight is like, no, we need to keep you safe. We need to make it so that you don't get surprised by when somebody's cruel, or, they say something mean, or they treat you like crap. Like, we don't want you to get surprised by that. We want to already know it's an option, right? So I love playing the what if game because it helps calm the nerves. We can be like, you know what? Because sometimes it does happen. Sometimes we do go and we're like, oh, actually it was fine. It didn't end up being an issue. So it's very possible that that's the case. Okay. The other thing that's great about the what if game is that if something does go awry, you're not so quick to be triggered, right? You don't have that subconscious program that says, oh, I knew it. Now it may still play. You may still get triggered, but it definitely could help settle it down just by allowing yourself to get curious about how maybe things might go fine, right? So that's one thing that I like to do personally. Now, I do other energy work type stuff where I make sure my energy is ready for other people, because I feel like it helps me put up a boundary. So this is my second one, okay? It's know your boundaries. If you want, I have a practice where it's on a couple reels on Instagram. It's on a YouTube short that I did where I show you how to separate your energy from other people. So I'm actually going to link that in the comments anyway, because I feel like it's just such an amazing practice to use in general. But for sure, if you're preparing yourself for this kind of outing or this kind of family dynamics that is not always wonderful, it's a great time to do it, because that way you're not bringing anything else with you that maybe is leftover anger or frustration. Like, we don't need anything extra, right? So we want to clear our own aura so that when we come, we're just like, okay, I can handle it. This will be fine. The other part to knowing your boundaries, though, it's not just doing that kind of energy clearing, but it's also understanding that everything you say and everything you do does come back to you. So when I look at setting boundaries for myself, I want to know that whatever I'm responding to, I'm responding in the appropriate way that still feeds my soul, still helps me to be a better person, right? Because I can't change these other people. Like, it's just impossible. And so in that moment, I'm going to make sure that I'm still respectful to myself, right? I want to have that integrity. I want to know that I present myself with a certain level of self-love and appreciation that other people are not going to get to. They're not going to get to have that piece of me, right? I get to go to sleep at night knowing that I have a ton of self-respect, self-love, integrity, all of the things that make me proud of who I am. And so when somebody does cross the line, which I'm telling you definitely could happen, right? Like, you talk about my kid, you talk about my husband, right? I mean, he doesn't need me defending him, but in general, okay, those are my people, okay? So I want to know that if that happens, that the way that I respond is still respectful to who I want to be as a person and who I am trying to be as a person. So knowing your own boundaries is making a declaration to yourself before you go and saying, you know what, no matter what they say to me, I am going to still leave there with my respect intact. Not for them. It's not for them. It's for me. And honestly, it's for my kid and it's for my husband, because I have a certain level of quality that some people don't have. And I take pride in that. And I want to still leave knowing that I have that intact. Now, a lot of you are thinking, well, what if this? What if that? And believe me, there are a bazillion things that could go awry where somebody literally just makes you so angry in that moment where it's like they crossed the line. That's okay to feel that way. But for most of us, it's not going to go that far. And for most of us, we're still in a situation where we're somewhat safe, right? As adults, we have a way out. We have backup plans, right? So it's not really as unsafe as our subconscious wants us to think it is, right? If you're a child, it's a different story. But feeling actually safe and knowing you can always leave. You can always just grab your purse and go, Understanding that that's an option is a good way to calm those nerves too and say, you know what, that's fine. This didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And my boundaries feel like they've been really, crossed. So I'm just going to get my stuff and go. And that's going to be that. And honestly, that's leaving with a lot more dignity than responding in a way that for some people, if they're narcissists and they wanted to get a reaction out of you, they just succeeded. Right? I mean, they feel better about it, right? I was married to one for a long time. No, not for a long time ago. I couldn't handle it for very long, but I know what that's like 100%. And they love to get a reaction out of you. So if you're dealing with that with a parent or sibling or whatever, it could be even a spouse, because some of us are in maybe marriages that are not that great. Understand that when you give them that, they like it. They say, oh, yeah, I am in control. I made them respond in a way that was not true to who they really are inside. That feels good to them. So just understand that. I'm not saying that 100% of the time we can control all of that. I'm not saying that at all. I am simply stating that there's a lot more self-regulation in us than we give ourselves credit for, because we allow that subconscious to tell us so many lies and take off with us in so many directions that when we feed into it, we can do things that do not align with who we are inside. This is like that outburst that you have with your kid where all of a sudden you regret it and you're like, I'm a horrible parent. Yeah, because you're allowing your subconscious to tell you things that are not true, like they never listen, they don't care about me, they don't love me, or whatever it could be. So when you do that, you do react in a way that does not feel in line with you. And all that is an opportunity for you to keep going down that hole. So we want to stop that in its tracks before it happens. Okay. So all that being said, I guess that was a load of stuff, wasn't it? Okay. So number 3, this one is going to be a doozy if you are not used to doing it. Okay. And I practice this all the time, and that is to speak from a place of non-emotion. Okay, what does that mean? So here's the deal. When we allow our emotions to take over and control the situation, we say things that we do not mean, okay? We do things that we do not mean to do. We react in a way that implies that we are less than. Okay, our value is taken down a notch because we no longer recognize the person that we are being. Okay, so this is easier said than done. And this is obviously something that doing the deeper work, like in one of my programs, would be perfect for. However, we want to just get through the weekend. We want to have a beautiful holiday season to the best of our ability. So to speak from a place of non-emotion, you have to calm yourself. Take a couple deep breaths, okay? Instead of reacting in emotion, we get to say, oh, you know what? I didn't really like that, but I'm going to separate the way that I feel right now from what they actually said, because what they're saying is triggering your past, right? That's what it always is. What they're saying now is not in direct relation to what's going on now. If it was, nobody would have outbursts, right? Because we would feel pretty confident in that moment that whatever we're doing is, fine, right? But when they say something that triggers something inside of you, that is because it's a past experience. It's a limiting belief. Maybe it's an experience from childhood that you really, really felt traumatic around, right? Maybe it was a trauma. Maybe it was just always being treated differently or always being treated poorly. So whatever that comes from, understand that you are reacting from the past and not from the present. So if you can take that emotion out of it and just react in the present, you could say, oh, they're just making a joke about this. or, oh, they're just, they're just excusing their behavior for today, right? We don't have to let it get us to the point where we are falling all over ourselves, totally pissed off, totally feeling the anger and reacting from that. Now, most of us, when we are feeling into that emotion, whether it be anger or sadness, we don't always say or do the things that feel good to us. Sometimes we let that emotion take over to the point that it doesn't feel aligned. And so I want you to recognize that and let yourself know. Make a declaration to yourself about this and say, you know what? No matter what happens, I'm just going to take a couple deep breaths in and I'm just going to let things slide and think, okay, they're talking about this moment. They're not talking about the past. They're not bringing up old things. They're not referencing my old boyfriend. They're not referencing how bad I was in school. They're not referencing the fact that I don't have any friends when I was a kid. Just let it be a statement in that moment. Okay. Again, this is meant to help you to get through these holidays without having any of these big things happen to you. Okay. If this is something that you needed to listen to today, if this is something that you read the title and you were like, oh, let me get on there because I need to write down everything she says to take it with me. That may be because you actually have deeper work to do. It's very possible that you need to take care of the deep stuff. And that's your subconscious programs. That's your trapped emotions. These are meant to get you through the holidays. These are not meant to set you up for life as the way to live. Okay. It's not always the best way to ignore these things, like ignore how something makes you feel. Like that's not always the best way. However, most of us have spent our lives putting aside our own feelings or hiding our own feelings so that they can explode later. So if that's you, then it's very likely that you would do amazing things in my programs, especially the We Are Magnetic Women membership, because this is exactly what we just started on. The first program that dropped was Creating Emotional Freedom, which I'm calling lovingly emotional hoarding, where we keep all of those emotions with us forever so they get to come out and torment us anytime something goes wrong or even right. A lot of times it's a defense mechanism or a safety thing. So it would be really good for you. And I encourage you to go check out the link. I'll put it in the show notes if that's something that you want to jump into. After the first of the year, it's going up to $88 a month. So right now you can get it for $55 a month or $555 for the year, which I have several people that just did it that way because it's like a huge discount. So check it out. Make sure it's something that aligns with you, but also make a commitment to yourself. Let's say, hey, you know what? This year, I'm going to start taking care of this crap so that when it's 2 days before the holidays, I don't have to try to figure out how I'm going to make it through. I don't have to feel that anxiety of like, what's going to happen? How am I going to react? What are they going to say to me? Like, let's allow them to just be another part of the story, but not the main part. How about you're the main part? How about your emotions and the way that you think and your growth mindset is the main part? Okay, that's how it's really supposed to be. And I want you to finish your days feeling like, you know what? I did really good today. For the most part, we all have bad days, but I'm working really hard on something and I'm noticing changes because I've decided to make a commitment to myself and to my family and to everyone around me that I want to take care of these things that have held me back for years. Like I'm ready to make that kind of commitment and that kind of choice. So I'm sending so much love to you guys. I sincerely hope that everybody has a fabulous Christmas, that you are just filled with so much love, and that this podcast today can help you to make it through and make it one of the best yet. That would be amazing. And I would super love, okay, I was talking to a podcast manager like yesterday. She's a friend of mine. And she said, hey, for Christmas, you should ask for 5-star reviews. And I said, you know what? And I don't mean to ask for 5-star. Like, give me whatever star you think I'm worthy of. But I'm asking for Christmas. If you have not left me a review, even if it's not a comment, it can just be the clicking the stars on Apple. If you haven't done that yet, please do it. I would super appreciate it. I love reading all the messages anyway if you have the time. But if not, just a review would be great. That could be a really amazing Christmas. So, all right, guys, have a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend. I will see you next week. As always, remember to breathe. All right, guys. I hope this podcast spoke to you in some way. If it did, please go ahead and leave me a review and subscribe so that I know you're enjoying what you hear. And further, if you know somebody else who owns their own creative business and struggles with anything that we spoke about, please pass this on, because it is my hope that we will be able to build a community of like-minded individuals who love on each other and appreciate the many facets that make our creative business so unique. And lastly, check out the show notes to find my free Facebook community and other useful links to work with me. All right, friend, see you soon.